The software is often the most difficult part in a project. Here comes an easy one. We go ahead with our little LoRa project. Today we talk about the software requirements and the coding for our sensor entities. We are almost done with the build of our LoRa weather sensor entities. After having finished the hardware, we need to define and code the software now. In case you haven't seen the previous episodes, I recommend to do so. The next step is now to create a simple software for our entities. Our sensor software shall be simple and reliable. We don't have an external clock available. This means that we need to create an own internal timer with the software. Of course, the software shall be reusable for several sensor entities. It is very important that it controls the hardware for low power consumption. It calls the deep sleep mode routines and has a structure to wake up the hardware in a controlled way. For the data transmission, we choose the so-called Aloha concept. This means that there is no handshake protocol between the data transmitter and the receiver. The transmitter sends data on its own schedule. In our case, we choose a 3 minutes time period for that. This method saves significantly power consumption in comparison with handshake protocol methods, where information has to go back and forth between the sensor entity and the server. In this case, a receiver in the sensor entity would need to be up and running almost all the time, in case any handshake signal arrives. And yes, there would be solutions with an intelligent scheduling of the receiver. But in any case, it would consume much more energy than the Aloha method. Applying the Aloha method, the sensor entity can deep sleep almost all the time. Every 3 minutes it wakes up for some milliseconds to measure and send data to the receiver of our server. Then it goes to sleep again. Of course, the Aloha method has also its disadvantages. Since the transmitted data packages are coming randomly from different transmitters, they can collide and interfere. As a consequence of this, the Aloha method can only allow a low duty cycle, which practically limits the allowed time on air per transmitter. In case we would have to use many sensor units, we could reduce data collisions by adding a few seconds to the 3 minutes, which are derived from a random function. I also have to mention that the regulatory bodies in the countries define limits for the duty cycle. In Europe, it is 1% maximum in the 868 MHz frequency band. In addition, there is a so-called fair use policy from the Things network community. It says that the airtime per device should be maximum 30 seconds in 24 hours. For a periodic signal, this would correspond to 0.035% duty cycle, which is much less than the 1% permitted by the regulation. For our private network here, we would be allowed to apply 1%, but we want to comply with the fair use policy for two very good reasons. A, we don't want to waste valuable frequency spectrum, and B, airtime reduces battery time for our sensor entities. What are the main requirements for our software now? It shall process the data from our weather sensors and transmit them via LoRa to our server. The complete set of data comprises temperature, humidity, air pressure normalized to sea level, battery voltage, a device identifier, and a LoRa keyword. Furthermore, the software shall define and control the LoRa parameters like frequency, spreading factor, transmit power, and others. In addition, the software shall activate and deactivate our deep sleep modes. Now, let's get started with the coding. For the programming of our ESP32 boards, we will use the so-called Arduino IDE. It supports perfectly everything that we need. It is an ideal platform for hobbyists and future professionals. Despite its simplicity, there is respectable results you can achieve with it. The IDE environment supports a number of very interesting microprocessor boards and supplementary hardware like NeoPixels, stepper motors, lots of sensors, display and more. In order to get started with the Arduino IDE, I recommend to listen a beginner's tutorial on YouTube. You will find a ton of these that will explain how to install the IDE and to download first simple programs to your microprocessor board. I also recommend to listen a tutorial that explains how to get started with an ESP32 board. I'm showing just very briefly here how to prepare your IDE. Without the right libraries or boards drivers, you get a lot of error messages. First, you need to complement your preferences with some links that provide the supplier's data for your boards. In our case, we need to insert the following. Then we need to download the ESP32 board drivers in the Board Managers section. Next, we need to add some libraries. We need the LoRa library from Sandeep and the Adafruit BME 280 sensors libraries. Last not least, we need to choose the board that fits best to the board that we have. Finally, we are able to successfully compile the code. Now, coming back to our code for the sensor. In the top section, I made lots of comments. They are describing some problems that I had and the solution that I found. Sometimes it's important insights which I had while developing the code. I'm using and combining code mainly from example libraries which I changed and enhanced for my own purpose. In the top section of the actual code we find a lot of definitions. We need to have some constants defined, like the time to sleep. The include commands include libraries, in this case for our LoRa hardware and the BME 280 sensors. We also define the pins for our board here. This is the definition of the frequency band here. and we define the pins for the sensor data inputs. And of course we need some variables for our data to be processed. Don't worry about the lines that I commented out here. This was just an extension for another board that has an OLED display. Our first defined procedure is the void start LoRa here. It is setting up the LoRa module and is giving us feedback via the serial interface in case it failed. This kind of serial reports are very valuable and help you to debug your software while coding. The next void is the setup of our sensor. The serial command here is also very helpful in case your wiring is wrong or broken. Get readings controls the sensor readings now, and it performs a simplified sea level normalization for the air pressure. It performs well in the area of 400 meters above sea level. In case you want to operate the sensors in extreme heights, you might want to find a more accurate formula in Wikipedia. Send readings is processing the sensor readings plus the sensor ID and the battery voltage. I have to admit that there would be more potential to reduce the data bits by applying other numeric formats, especially in case we would reduce the number of used digits. However, we want to see the full resolution of the sensors and we want to compare the performance later on. The procedure gives also feedback to the serial interface so that you can check whether the data is processed correctly before transmission. Now we are getting to the setup procedure, which contains also the main program code. This is in contradiction to normal program code, which typically runs in an endless loop. However, this is the way to go when you are using the deep sleep mode. And this is because during the deep sleep mode there is only a simple counter running on your board. That's the main secret how you can save energy with this kind of boards. Of course, this means that all setup routines like serial begin, start BME, start LoRa, etc. have to be started for each new period. After that, we get the sensor readings. My experience is that this works all fine. However, I found out that there was a problem with the analog read command. I got volatile readings for the battery voltage, which were in the range of plus and minus 10%. And with that problem, the battery voltage measurement was practically useless. For example, I got a battery voltage of 3.5 volts and 3 minutes later it could happen that I got 3.8 volts. I tried a number of different measures to solve the problem, which you can still see from some commands that I commented out. Finally, I introduced a delay of 100 milliseconds before the measurement. This helped a lot to get stable analog readings for the battery voltage. Well, sometimes things are not so straightforward as we think. We keep the solution in mind. With send readings, we can transmit our data now. The next step is the preparation for the sleep mode. It is a bit more complicated than I thought. There is an extra configuration for this, which can be pretty sophisticated, as you can see from the commands. But with the help of some other YouTube videos, I was able to figure this out quickly. However, the power consumption results still remained a bit disappointing. It took me quite a while to find out that I also need to activate the sleep mode for the LoRa functions. For this, I had to dig a bit deeper in the LoRa specifications. Finally, as a consequence of the requirements discussed, the void loop remains empty here. The stuff that I commented out here was only for testing purpose. We can now summarize that our software concept and the requirements were defined. The functions and the code were explained together with some crucial tips. Especially analog readings like battery voltage can be tricky. Further improvements were proposed in case many sensors should be used. The code you will find in the download section, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. In the next episode, we will perform RF measurements of our LoRa transmitter. Now, stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe and support the channel. See you soon in the coming episodes.